When people go to native doctors and try to do charm for wealth, native doctor puts them through a series of suffering. Say, don't sleep with a woman for this period, eat only this, you have to go mad in the middle of the market, you have to do this. These are suffering. And all this suffering is geared towards making them to connect with their spirituality, their wealthy self, so that they can try and create wealth. Because there is no spiritual journey that doesn't involve self-denial. In fact, when you do some charms, they will tell you that there are things you will never ever do in life again. I know somebody that told he can never wear shoe. So as wealthy as he is, he will always wear Dunlop slippers, because the day he went for that charm, that was what he was wearing. Rich man with big clothes, big car, he's always wearing this thing. That's self-denial, basic self-denial. These native doctors know that if somebody is coming, you have to put them through suffering. That suffering will reveal them to themselves. And once they connect properly, they will make that money. You get, some people take it to the extreme though. They will tell you to kill somebody that is close to you, that you love so much. That is still self-denial, even though it's now illegal. Why would you kill somebody? You get what I'm saying? The native doctor is taking it to the extreme, but it's still deny yourself for something you love. So spirituality, the reason for fasting and so on is self-denial. If you do controlled self-denial, you will connect to your spirituality. Things that used to be a temptation to you will no more be a temptation. Things that where you lack clarity in life, clarity will come. Think of most of these technological inventions. If you narrow down to the guy that invented it, you see that it was during a period of self-denial. Isaac Newton that came up with the 3 laws of motion. There was an outbreak, disease outbreak in town. So he ran to his mother's village and was living in the hut there. So because of that, he was eating good food, natural food. And he has been there for months, like 2 or 3 months. And he was outside in his garden one day and an apple fell on his head and boom, he started thinking, why did it fall on my head? That's how he came up with the laws of motion. Period of self-denial and isolation. The guy that came up with Ethereum, this Bitcoin, Bitcoin is the highest crypto. The second one is Ethereum. The guy that came up with Ethereum, he was walking in a garden when the idea came. He was walking in a garden. The guy that figured out that DNA has helix structure. Have you seen the shape of DNA? He was at a camp in the middle of a forest. So he slept beside the fire, but in his dream, he saw snakes crawling like this. When he woke up, he was like, that's not a snake. That's DNA. This is something I've been looking for all my life. The guys that came up with WhatsApp, they quit their jobs and traveled the world. After traveling the world, they came back. It was in his kitchen that he came up with the concept of WhatsApp. He denied himself for 1 year, he and his friend. The guy that came up with iPhone, that's Steve Jobs. Before he came up with iPhone, he traveled to India and spent 1 year. 1 year with the monks. Left all his wealth, his phone, his contact, everybody left civilization, went up the mountains with monks for 1 year. He couldn't even speak or understand their language because they don't speak English. He removed shoes. He wore shoeless for 1 year. When he came back, till today, iPhones and Apple products are still the best in the world. Because to compete with him, you have to go and isolate for 1 year. And you don't know what else he did during that 1 year. You don't know how many times he ate during that 1 year. So all his life, he operated at a level. So if you want to, food is confusing you. That's the point. Spirituality, your journey to spirituality will involve self-denial. If you're at a point in life where you're suffering already, you're experiencing suffering, you understand? You have to embrace that suffering as a path to spirituality. That's when you can properly connect. Otherwise, it will be suffering to no end. If you think people can't suffer perpetually, go to government offices. You see people that have been on low salary since 1979 and they're waiting for retirement and pension. Why? Because the suffering they had, they're not paying attention to it as a spiritual journey. They're not treating it as self-denial. They're not including isolation. You have to include isolation. There has to be a period of isolation so that you can talk to yourself and hear yourself speak. This is spirituality. Religion is when everybody is following one person's written down spirituality. If you go on your own self-denial and isolation and you discover some things and write it down, and some people show up in the future and start trying to follow your exact steps as you wrote it down, it's religion to them. It will not work for all of them because they don't have your own personal journey. Do you understand that?